After Jiang Zhe's beloved passed away from cancer, he succumbed to grief and took his own life to follow her in death. Frail as I was, I carried him on my back and ran through the entire town in the dead of night. I knocked on every door begging for help, kowtowing until my face was covered in blood, just to save his life. That's how I ended up with this jagged, ugly scar on my forehead. He finally let go of his grudges and decided to build a life with me. But then he dreamed of his deceased first love, who claimed to be lonely in the afterlife. Consumed by insomnia, he dragged me to her grave and forced poison down my throat. You're the reason we can't be together. Since that's the case, you'll go join Shawan in her grave instead. Only then did I realize he'd been blaming me all along for his beloved missing the critical treatment window, a second chance at life. I'm exhausted. I just want to live differently this time, Wushuang. I'm begging you, Shawan's ill and needs a substantial sum for treatment. The familiar voice stirred me awake as I opened my eyes. After vanishing for a week upon learning his childhood sweetheart had cancer, my husband suddenly returned home and fell to his knees begging me desperately. Watching Jiang Zhe sob pitifully before me, I feigned confusion and asked, "But where would I get that kind of money?" Jiang Zhe hesitated before speaking, his eyes darting first toward the vanity table inside. "The golden hairpin, yes, selling it will get us the money we need." Hearing those identical words from my past life, I couldn't help curling my lips in a cold smirk. "You're suggesting we pawn my dowry to pay for another woman's medical treatment, Jiang Zhe? How dare you have the audacity to say such things?" The man's face darkened instantly. He clearly hadn't expected someone as timid as me to confront him directly. "Wushuang, saving a life outweighs building a 7-tiered pagoda. I'm begging you, I can't lose Shawan. 1. Consider this my debt to you. Once Shawan recovers, I'll work in the provincial capital to redeem your hairpin." Jiang Zhe panicked and dropped to his knees, kowtowing frantically before me, blow after blow. Even when blood seeped from his head, he still refused to give up. For the first time, he begged me with such humility, just like how I'd clutched at his trousers pleading for my life before death in our past incarnation. The scene before me now overlapped with the moment before my death in that previous life. "It's all my fault, Jiang Zhe. I don't want to die. Please, I'm begging you to save me." Jiang Zhe's voice snapped me back to reality the next second. "Since you're so determined to save her, figure it out yourself. In any case, I'm not selling this golden hairpin." With that, I strode back into the room and concealed the hairpin on my person. Unlike the previous life where I hesitated before handing it to him, that hairpin never returned to me until my dying day. Impossible. Shawan can't be dead. She's still alive. She must be alive. 1 month later, in Shui Wan's memorial hall, Jiang Zhe clutched her portrait, howling with heart-wrenching sobs until his face was drenched in tears. Yet the other funeral attendees kept shooting me increasingly odd glances. Here was his lawful wife standing perfectly fine, yet he was wailing his heart out over another woman's death. An auntie nearby tugged my sleeve. Man, go talk some sense into Jiangze. Whatever his past with Shawan, she was married in the end. Him carrying on like this at her funeral is downright disgraceful." I glanced up to see Shuawan's in-laws looking thoroughly displeased, her husband especially, his face darker than a burnt pot. He'd always been bothered by Shui Wan and Jiang Zhe's past relationship, his eyes now burning with fury. I pressed my lips together tightly at the scene before me. Shaking my head, I said, "Auntie, it's not that I won't advise him. You know Jiang Zhe never listens to me. I've always been indecisive, in my past life. Just because my parents said, the Jiang family is well off, you'll live comfortably if you marry into it." I nodded and agreed to marry Jiang Zhe, though we didn't have much emotional foundation. We treated each other with mutual respect. It wasn't until a year into our marriage, when a local woman named Shui Wan was diagnosed with cancer, that I discovered Jiang Zhe had always carried someone else in his heart. Shui Wan was orphaned with 5 younger siblings to care for. The Jiang family refused consent, fearing marriage would burden them with supporting her entire family. Fearing the young couple's lingering attachment, Jiang Zhe's parents hastily arranged a matchmaker to introduce him to another girl, me. In our conservative town, Shui Wan and Jiang Zhe's passionate affair became scandalous. When the marriage fell through, her reputation was ruined, forcing her to wed a disabled man. Her impoverished husband's family could barely afford food. She starved herself to save portions for her siblings, until malnutrition made her ill. When Jiang Zhe learned Shui Wan's in-laws couldn't pay for treatment, he used his entire salary to take her to the provincial hospital. Treating stomach cancer costs a fortune. Jiang Zhe's salary wasn't enough, so he came home to borrow money from me. This time around, I didn't give him the hairpin. He waited until the family was asleep at night, then stole a large sum of household funds to keep Shui Wan alive. Within just a week, Shui Wan succumbed to her illness and passed away. The money was spent, the illness treated, but the family was left drowning in debt. His mother had a stroke from rage, yet he wouldn't even spring for a doctor. I never expected Jiangze would go to such extremes. As murmurs spread through the crowd, I stepped forward and pulled Jiangze up. Don't let Shui Wan's spirit be disturbed even in death, just go home. The moment those words left my mouth, a sharp slap echoed through the funeral hall. The previously chaotic space fell deathly silent. Every pair of eyes locked onto my face. Jiangze roared at me with bloodshot eyes. Get the hell out. You've got no right to say that. If you hadn't kept stopping me from saving Shawan, she'd still be alive. The throbbing pain in my cheek left me momentarily speechless. Jiangze glared at me with murderous hatred, as if I'd killed his father. You must be thrilled Shawan's dead. Now there's no one left to compete with you, too. But don't get your hopes up. If Shui Wan's gone, I won't be staying behind either. His words stirred murmurs among the mourning crowd. I heard someone sneer. Jiangze's truly lovesick. Fancy wanting to die for another man's wife. My past life's hardships had long extinguished all hope in me. I'd stopped caring about Jiangze's attitude toward me. But this slap, I won't take it lying down. The next second, I slapped him with all my might. Years of manual labor had given me strength comparable to any man's. That single slap left Jiangze dazed and disoriented, standing on moral high ground before the crowd. I rebuked him loudly. This slap is from Mom and Dad. You may have done right by Shui Wan, but you betrayed the parents who raised you with such hardship. With those words, I quietly withdrew from the gathering. He won't last much longer anyway. What's the point in arguing with the dead? The moment I stepped out of the funeral hall, piercing screams erupted behind me. Help, someone's dead, someone help, Jiangze's killed himself. The person rushing out grabbed me, Yun Wushuang. Get in here quick, your husband just pulled a knife and slit his wrists, there's blood everywhere. I curled my lips coldly. Oh, what's that got to do with me? Shooting me a reproachful look, they muttered under their breath. What a pair, one dying for another man's wife, the other not even caring when her own husband commits suicide. Another person pulled him back. Birds of a feather flock together. Leave it be, finding help is what matters now. In their past life. After Jiangze's beloved Shui Wan died, he made a scene at the memorial service, threatening to follow her in death. The moment he drew the knife, I caught the blade barehanded and stopped him by sheer force. The cut later scarred over but never fully healed. Every humid spring, the old wound would ache faintly. His last suicide attempt was swallowing poison in the dead of night while I slept. My frail body carried him as I pounded on every doctor's door in town, kowtowing for help until my forehead bled, just to drag him back from death's doorstep. That left another jagged scar on my forehead, forcing me to hide behind ill-fitting bangs ever since. Folks say he's blessed to have a wife who loves him more than life itself. He finally let go of his resentment and devoted himself to building our family with me. But then he dreamed of Shui Wan's ghost. Weeping about her loneliness in the underworld, he couldn't sleep night after night. He dragged me to Shui Wan's grave, pried open my mouth, and forced me to drink a bottle of pesticide. With my dying breath, I heard the venom in his voice. If you just agreed to sell the hairpin sooner, Shawan would still be alive. Since you kept me from reuniting with Shawan, you'll take my place by her side. Never could I have imagined that the husband I cherished would send me to my grave over some absurd dream. I never imagined that no matter what I did, it would all be in vain. Since fate has given me a second chance, I refuse to live for him anymore. In this life, I only wish to live for myself. Jiangze ultimately survived again, just like in his past life, shutting himself in his room for 3 days while clutching Shui Wan's old photograph. 3 days later, Shui Wan's funeral procession began. Jiangze, despite his frail condition, insisted on attending. During the procession, he stubbornly took the lead position as pallbearer, refusing to yield to anyone. In our local tradition, only the surviving spouse may lead as chief pallbearer when the deceased was married. Having gone 3 days without sleep or a drop of water, his lips were pale, his eyes sunken with dark circles, filled with sorrow and exhaustion. Jiangze's fingers trembled as he wiped the dust off the coffin with his sleeve, inch by inch. Shawan, don't be afraid, I'll join you soon. Shui Wan's husband finally snapped. Shawan is my wife, show some respect. Jiangze frowned at his lame leg, a cold smirk playing on his lips as he demanded with bloodshot eyes, with that leg of yours, how could you possibly escort Shawan on her final journey? What if she gets jostled or hurt? Besides, if it weren't for my parents' objections back then, Shui Wan and I would have been married long ago. What business is it of yours? The man asked darkly. What's done is done, you're married now. Have you even considered how your wife would feel about this? Xiaowan's the only one I acknowledge. A barely perceptible flicker of disgust passed through Jiang Zhe's eyes when my name was mentioned. You, the man's fists clenched tightly, trembling on the verge of eruption. In our past life, it was me who stepped in just in time to take that punch for him. The 4-month-old fetus in my womb was violently beaten out of me, leaving me permanently barren afterward, without me in this lifetime. Jiang Zhe couldn't dodge in time and took the punch square in the face. The slap mark on his left cheek hadn't faded when another fist landed on his right, now perfectly symmetrical. Veins bulged on the man's forehead as he swung another punch at Jiang Zhe, who was too weak to fight back. Pinned to the ground like a helpless quail, he endured the brutal beating. The man kept punching while snarling. I let it slide before because you were taking Xiaowan for treatment. But you just had to push your luck. Jiang Zhe spat out bloody foam. If you'd treated Xiaowan better, she wouldn't have gotten sick. This is all on you. The man scoffed shamelessly. Then why didn't you marry her yourself? Xiaowan's my woman. How I treat her is none of your damn business. Just then, Jiang Zhe's older brother Jiang Su rushed over to intervene, hauling his sibling up with an apology. Look at the state of our family, and you're here making a scene. Get your ass home. Stop embarrassing me. Erqiang, let me apologize on his behalf. You've had your revenge. Surely your anger's subsided by now. The man called Erqiang immediately put on an apologetic smile and waved dismissively when he saw Jiang Su, signaling the matter was settled. Jiang Zhe still wanted to argue but got dragged away by his older brother, to ensure the safety of myself and the unborn child. I called my brother-in-law that very night when Xiaowan died to report the situation at home. Stationed far from home, Jiang Su rushed back immediately upon hearing his family was in trouble. Jiang Su lashed out. You nearly dragged the whole family down for some woman. After learning of Xiaowan's illness, Jiang Zhe stole the factory's raw material funds to pay for her treatment, with no capital for materials. The major order was shelved, forcing the patriarch to take out loan shark's money. At 60 years old, he's still running around trying to borrow money just to pay off those exorbitant interest rates. The whole ordeal gave grandma a stroke. But there's no spare cash for a doctor, let alone telling her hot-tempered eldest son, and I know Jiang Zhe's eldest brother is the only one in this family who can keep him in check. Besides, brother Jiang Su happens to be the only sensible one in the household. Jiang Su, the eldest brother, enlisted at 16 and rose to battalion commander in his 20s, a man of unwavering resolve. He was the one who forbade Jiang Zhe from marrying Xiaowan all those years ago. Jiang Zhe was terrified of this elder brother. None of you understand. I'd trade the whole world to bring Xiaowan back. You'll never know what she means to me. For the first time, Jiang Zhe mustered the courage to defy his brother. Jiang Su was furious at his brother's stubbornness. You brought misery to our family over some woman. I've let that slide. And now you dare raise your voice at me. If I don't teach you a lesson today, it's only because I'm feeling merciful. He grabbed a willow branch nearby, tied Jiang Zhe's hands, and strung him up on the tree. Seeing this, I immediately waddled out from behind the tree with my pregnant belly. Bro, don't throw hands. This could turn deadly. Relax. I know my limits. Nobody's dying today. Jiang Su's eyes burned with fury. That little shit Jiang Zhe, ignores our parents, abandons his own woman. What a goddamn moron. Jiang Zhe, who'd kept his eyes shut this whole time, suddenly snapped them open. She brought this on herself. Serves her right. You asked for it. I've lost count of how many times I've heard these words from Jiang Zhe's lips. Jiang Zhe said through gritted teeth, if it weren't for her, Xiaowan and I would have been together long ago. She wouldn't have suffered, wouldn't have fallen ill. Tell me, who else but Yun Wushuang should bear the blame? Indeed, simply because I obeyed my parents' arrangement and married him, in Jiang Zhe's eyes I became the most despicable woman alive. To this day, he still doesn't realize Xiaowan died because of this ruthless world, and his own hypocritical self. Jiang Su did give him a choice back then, but the man who'd sworn to marry no one but Xiaowan couldn't bear to give up his pampered life. Instead, he claimed Zhang's parents threatened suicide to force our marriage. 3. He gained filial piety's reputation, while Xiaowan and I paid the price. As he finished speaking, his gaze caught me standing behind Jiang Su. I knew there was a reason my brother rushed back so suddenly. You're the one who tipped him off, aren't you, Yun Wushuang? You're truly heartless. Can't you even let me bid Xiaowan farewell in peace? In my past life, I kept believing that with enough effort, I could finally melt Jiang Zhe's heart, so I dutifully cared for his parents, managed our household flawlessly. No matter how he treated me, I never spoke ill of him to others. When Jiang Zhe wanted to save Xiaowan, I verbally objected, but after agonizing over it for a week, I still handed him the golden hairpin. I never expected anything in return. My wish was simple. Just that Jiangze might someday recognize my worth, yet he never did, not even until death. Before I could speak, Jiangsu sneered. I was the one who stopped you from marrying Shui Wan. Are you blaming me for her death now? Jiangze stubbornly turned his head away. I didn't. Jiangsu raised the willow switch high. Liar, you dare deny it. Then his wails echoed through the woods, stroking my belly. I said nothing more. In this second chance at life, what I truly want isn't reconciliation or clearing up misunderstandings with Jiangze. What I desire is complete freedom from Jiangze, from start to finish. Jiangze was dragged back home by his own brother. Seeing her youngest son battered and bruised, the bedridden mother-in-law couldn't help but ask, what happened this time, and why is Sewer back too? Ever since her stroke, she couldn't handle any emotional distress, so I didn't dare tell her about Jiangze's scene at the funeral. Jiangsu shoved Jiangze back into his room before turning to confront his mother. How could you keep something this important from me? In just a few words. He spilled everything that had happened to Jiangze over the past 2 days. The old woman started coughing violently from rage. That ungrateful wretch, he won't rest until he's the death of me. It's all my fault. If only I'd stopped him from taking the payment, our family wouldn't have ended up like this, I said through tears. The eldest brother slammed the enamel cup on the table. This isn't on you. Our parents failed to raise him right. I should have taken him into military training back then he wouldn't have turned into this worthless bastard. The mother-in-law spoke guiltily. I was afraid he couldn't handle the hardship back then, but you shouldn't have beaten him this badly. Jiangze was the late-life child, spoiled rotten by his doting parents. In our past life, no matter how he treated me, his parents would just give him a half-hearted scolding without proper discipline. Which ultimately led to Jiangze's violent actions against me. Seeing her eldest son's rage, the mother blurted out, blame this old woman. Had I known this wretched child would turn out like this, I should have strangled him at birth. Hearing the conversation through the wall, Jiangze gritted his teeth. Don't blame anyone, I'll end myself right now. Without Shawan, this world holds nothing for me. The old woman's barely calmed emotions surged again upon hearing her youngest son's words. Her eyes rolled back as she fainted on the spot. Every move Jiangze made at the funeral got wildly exaggerated. In this small town, any family drama spreads like wildfire before noon. Jiangsu carried his mother out, borrowed a pedicab, and frantically pedaled her to the township clinic. The Jiang family's messy affairs quickly became the hottest gossip topic over meals, and I became the prime subject of their juicy conversations. Some pitied me, saying my husband treated me like dirt. Others called me shameless, claiming they'd have hanged themselves if publicly humiliated by their husbands. There's no way around it. In this feudal era, men are women's entire world. No matter what a man does, it's always the woman's fault. In my past life, I saw these words as monstrous threats. Beyond Jiangze's torment, their gossip was like a dull knife sawing back and forth through my heart, inflicting equal agony. Having lived through that tragic ending, I've learned this time around, no matter how venomous their words, they can't touch me now. In one ear and out the other. Just as I was heading out to check on my mother-in-law, a bunch of neighbors swarmed around me, chirping away and advising me to just grin and bear it. Whose marriage hasn't gone through this? Men, they always want their cake and eat it too. At least Jiangze's fling is over now. Your good days are coming. Breaking from my usual meekness, I snapped. Got your own houses in order before meddling in others' business. What? Nothing better to do. The gossip mongers scattered like startled birds when they saw I wasn't one to be trifled with. Someone from the corner store came calling for me. Wu Xuan, your family's on the phone. Hearing this, I bolted straight to the store. I desperately wanted to tell Mom about my past life's hardships, how much I'd suffered and endured. Mom, I whispered into the receiver, sweetheart, I've heard everything. That good-for-nothing Jiangze, what kind of nonsense is this? I thought Mom would understand me, but then she said something completely unexpected. But what can we do? You're already married, you'll just have to endure and make the best of it. Her words sent a chill straight to my bones. I protested, Mom, I want to divorce Jiangze. He doesn't love me at all. Love, what nonsense. Your father and I made it work just fine. As long as you can get by, that's enough, Mom replied impatiently. After hanging up, I went to the clinic where my brother-in-law Jiangsu assured me my mother-in-law was fine. My brother-in-law noticed my exhaustion and said sympathetically, you look worn out, must not have had proper sleep for days. Since I've finally made it home, I ought to show some filial piety. I counted the days on my fingers. It suddenly struck me, Jiangze drank pesticide this very night in my past life. I deliberately dragged my feet on the way home. Jiangze was locked in his room by his elder brother, currently figuring out how to break the lock from inside. Hearing noises in the courtyard, He recognized it was me and snapped, Yun Wuxuan, open this damn door. I need to see Xiaowan. It's her first day buried. I must keep vigil at her grave. She's terrified of the dark, lying alone in that tiny coffin. Buried deep in the mountains, the howls of night creatures would frighten her to death. The moment Shuewan was mentioned, his voice softened instantly. It's all my fault. How could I leave her alone in the mountains? I turned a deaf ear and went straight to my room to rest. Jiangze broke down in the room. Yun Wuxuan, you did this on purpose. Fine, if you won't even let me see her in death, then I'll die too, even in death. Xiaowan and I shall be together. I deliberately provoked him. Then go die already. What's the use of all this empty shouting? If you actually had the guts to kill yourself, I might respect you as a real man. Oh, you'd love that, wouldn't you? Yun Wuxuan, you must have someone else waiting, just itching for me to die so you can openly whore around. Jiangze spat out the vicious rumor in anger. That's right, your precious one is waiting for you down there, I retorted. Jiangze finally snapped at my provocation. Fine, have it your way, Xiaowan. Don't be afraid, I'm coming for you tonight. His words might as well have been meant for me. Of course, I knew Jiangze's death wish was just empty talk. The cuts on his wrists from the funeral were shallower than my accidental kitchen knife slips. The room fell completely silent after he uttered those words. I retreated to my room without another word to him. I've always been a light sleeper. In the dead of night, a muffled groan came from Jiangze's room, instantly snapping me to attention. In my past life, hearing that sound made me fear for Jiangze's safety, and I rushed to check on him. To my horror, I arrived just as he finished drinking pesticide. At dawn, not a single clinic or medical center was open. To save him, my frail body somehow carried Jiangze, all 6 feet of him, throughout the entire town, knocking on every doctor's door. When doctors learned he'd ingested pesticide, most believed it was hopeless and refused to treat him. I went door to door begging on my knees until finally, a traditional Chinese physician in his 70s agreed to take the risk. We forced medicine down Jiangze's throat to make him vomit. Jiangze was damn lucky. When I took him to the county hospital at dawn for a checkup, he turned out to be perfectly fine. In this lifetime, upon hearing that sound, I just rolled over and went back to sleep. But Jiangze kept wailing in pain as if deliberately trying to wake me, finally fed up with the noise. I went to check on him. Jiangze drank pesticide, writhing in agony as he curled up and rolled on the ground. Spotting me, he still snapped, "Get lost, don't interfere, I'll be seeing Xiaowan soon." I glanced at the pesticide bottle on the floor. TCH, no wonder he wasn't dead yet, judging by how little was missing. Jiangze had barely taken a sip at most. Besides, this pesticide isn't paraquat, it's not that lethal. With the amount he took, he could roll around for 3 days straight and still survive. I pried his mouth open. Wanna die? Here, drink up. The more you drink, the sooner you'll see your precious one. The liquid trickled down Jiangze's chin as he shoved me away violently, gagging and retching. Yun Wuxuan, you venomous witch, you're trying to murder your own husband. Leaning against the door, I asked in confusion. Ever since Shuewan died, you've been threatening to kill yourself. I was just giving you a helping hand. How is this suddenly my fault? Jiangze shot me a glare and kept gagging himself to vomit. When he was finally done retching, he slumped against the door, gasping for air. But moments later, a sharp cramp twisted through his stomach, sending cold sweat breaking out all over his body. Jiangze panicked. Quick, get me to the clinic now. I casually cracked my knuckles. Honestly, must you make a scene at this hour? If you're gonna die, can't you do it quietly? Doctors need sleep too, you know. Who'd bother saving you at this time? The moment he finished speaking, Jiangze coughed up blood. Now he was truly terrified. Wuxuan, I was wrong. I don't want to die anymore. Please save me. Since when do the suicidal get second thoughts? Shuewan must be heartbroken in the afterlife, I sneered. Just as I turned to leave, a sudden noise came from outside the door. Wuxuan, Mom had an accident. She told me to rush back and find her clean clothes. But I can't locate any. It was Jiangsu's voice, my eldest brother. His arrival threw everything into chaos. Seeing Jiangze on the floor, I knew things had gone horribly wrong. I hoisted him up and bolted outside, shouting, "Brother, it's bad." Jiangze overdosed. Jiangsu spat in disgust at my words. That lunatic can't even let us have one peaceful damn day. He immediately grabbed Jiangze and dashed outside. Jiangze had already passed out from stomach pain and violent jostling. Thinking his brother was dying, Jiangsu ran even faster. He banged on a clinic door. "Doctor, help, my brother drank pesticide." The bleary-eyed doctor rubbed his eyes impatiently. "What kind of pesticide?" "Looks like paraquat," I added pointedly. "No hope left. Take him home and make funeral arrangements." With those words, the doctor shut the clinic door firmly. For the first time, I saw Jiang-Su drop his tough act as he kept pounding on the door, pleading, "Doctor, my brother's so young. Please, you've got to save him." The lights went out in the house, and all fell silent. Jiang-Su hoisted Jiang-Zhe onto his back again. "No good, let's try another clinic." The same story repeated at every house we visited. In this lifetime, without my desperate pleas on bended knee, not a single doctor would dare take the risk. Knowing Jiang-Zhe ingested paraquat, a poison so lethal that even a single drop would be untreatable by the greatest physicians, no one wanted to bring trouble upon themselves. Frustrated and humiliated, Jiang-Su couldn't help but curse. What kind of doctors are these people? No choice now. We'll have to wait till dawn to take him to the county hospital. Tonight, it's up to whether he can pull through. At first light, Jiang-Su borrowed a car to drive Jiang-Zhe and me to the county hospital for further examination. The test results came back quickly. Due to the pesticide's toxicity, the large amount he ingested, and the prolonged delay, his organs were already showing signs of failure. The doctor shook his head helplessly. Not even the greatest physician could save him now. Jiang-Su asked with trembling voice, "How much time does he have left?" "Less than a week," the doctor sighed. "So young. What could possibly trouble you this much?" Hearing the news, I expected grief, yet felt nothing stirring within, just relief, finally breaking free. That's when I knew, perhaps I'd never loved Jiang-Zhe at all. Everything I did in my past life was perhaps just an attempt to play the role of a dutiful wife. In the hospital room, Jiang-Zhe finally regained consciousness. His elder brother Jiang-Su held his head high, this iron-willed man fighting back tears with all his might. "How could you be so reckless? If you died, what would become of Mom and Dad? They can't take another shock. What about Wu Shuang? What'll happen to her?" Jiang-Zhe gave a bleak smile. Without Shawan, I don't even want to live another day. As for others, I couldn't care less." Little did Jiang-Zhe know, organ failure progresses with terrifying speed. He might seem fine now, but in just days his body will wither like a flower cut from its roots. The moment his eyes landed on me, displeasure washed over his face. "What's wrong?" Disappointed to see me still breathing, Jiang-Su snapped angrily upon hearing Jiang-Ze's words. "Enough, why must you constantly pick on Wu Shuang? She's your wife." Jiang-Zhe curled his lips into a sneer. "My wife? She's the one who killed my Shawan. If only she'd agreed to sell her dowry for Shawan's treatment, she might still be alive. Last lifetime he blamed me for selling the dowry too late. This lifetime he blames me for refusing to sell it. Either way, Shui Wan's death is pinned on me." Jiang-Su sneered. "How dare you say that? What's your relationship with Shui Wan that makes you think you should be the one to save her? Besides, if you wanted to play the hero, you should have figured it out yourself. How shameless to use your wife's dowry to rescue another woman." Jiang-Zhe flushed with embarrassment under his elder brother's scolding. "What's the big deal? There were extenuating circumstances, and I promised to repay her dowry later." Jiang-Su clenched his fists tightly. "She's nothing like you, you fool. Shui Wan has stomach cancer. It's terminal." Jiang Zuan stood frozen for a long moment. Jiang-Su added, "Do you even know Wu Shuang's baby is already 4 months along? In my past life, before I could even tell him about my pregnancy, the child was already gone." When Jiang-Zhe learned about this later, he only blamed me for failing to protect our child, which made him despise me even more. He turned to look at me slowly, only to find my eyes glistening with unshed tears. Remembering my suffering in the past life, I bit back tears and turned away, unwilling to let anyone see me in such disarray. Upon hearing the answer, Jiang-Zhe froze momentarily. "Then how could she? She didn't get the chance to tell you." Jiang-Su sighed. "Given her pregnancy, any grudges or grievances should be let go." Jiang-Ze's eyes suddenly froze, standing dumbstruck and speechless. The next second, he clutched his abdomen and vomited a mouthful of blood. The doctors and nurses rushed over, then shook their heads. Jiang-Zhe looked at his brother Jiang-Su in disbelief, who turned away with tears. That's when he realized his time was running out. He stayed behind to speak with me alone. The hospital room was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Jiang-Zhe and I stood facing each other until he finally spoke. "I'm sorry. I didn't know you were pregnant." I forced a bitter smile and said, "It doesn't matter anymore." Suddenly I remembered our wedding night when Jiang-Zhe promised to cherish me for the rest of our lives. During our honeymoon, we were inseparable, utterly devoted to each other. I thought I'd found my happily ever after, but when Shui Wan fell seriously ill and he became completely devoted to her, I finally understood Jiang-Zhe had never truly let go of her. Jiang-Zhe suddenly broke down sobbing. "I'm sorry, I was wrong, I was so wrong, I regret everything, I don't want to die." I want to see our child be born, please, save me. Jiang Zhe's condition worsened with each passing day. At first it was just stomachaches, then he couldn't keep anything down, until finally he became bedridden. His mother nearly collapsed from grief, but found strength for her son's sake. In those final days, Jiangsu called me outside the ward. Wushuang, our Jiang family has wronged you. Once Jiang Zhe passes, don't linger for him, find yourself a good man and live happily. I pretended reluctance, but inwardly rejoiced. The day I'd waited for had finally come. Jiang Zhe's sharp ears caught the conversation outside. His bloodshot eyes flared as he growled, I forbid it. Yun Wushuang is mine, even in death. She'll marry no other. Now a mere shell of his former self, he struggled even to rise from bed. His words carried no weight anymore. 5. Jiangsu outright declared, ignore him. This household answers to me. Seeing no one paid him heed, Jiang Zhe swallowed his pride and begged desperately, Wushuang, please don't leave me. You're all I have, and our child, that's my flesh and blood. He won't call anyone else dad. I pried his fingers off me one by one and whispered in his ear, go in peace. Once you're gone, I'll finally be free. If public opinion couldn't destroy a person, I would have left him long ago. Do you really hate me that much? Jiang Zhe asked in disbelief. I remembered asking Jiang Zhe the same question right before my death in my past life. His reply was, hate, with every fiber of my being. Now I'm returning those very words to him. On his final day, Jiang Zhe clung to his last breath, still stubbornly holding on. In his final moments, he stared blankly at the ceiling, lost in thought. The Jiang family stood by the doorway, quietly wiping away tears. Jiang Zhe lifted his head with difficulty, his lips parting weakly as he motioned for me to come closer. His lips trembled for a long moment before he slurred out, I don't want to die, Wushuang, I'm so scared. I leaned close to his ear and whispered, don't be afraid, Shui Wan is already waiting for you down there, you'll see him soon. His gaze drifted toward the window as his pupils began rapidly dilating. With his dying breath, he struggled to press his hand against my belly, whispering to our unborn child, I'm sorry, kid. Sorry to you and your mom. My final words to him were, Jiang Zhe, may we never meet again, not in this life, nor the next. A light rain fell on the day of Jiang Zhe's funeral. In the end, Jiangsu fulfilled his wish, burying him near Shui Wan's resting place. That very night, a bolt of lightning struck right through his grave. After giving birth, I negotiated terms with my brother-in-law and decided to leave the Jiang family with my child. Despite my in-laws' relentless objections, my sensible brother-in-law saw the truth. Leaving the child in their care would ruin him. To protect his late brother's posthumous child, Jiangsu ultimately agreed to my terms. Our agreement was that the child would keep the Jiang surname and return to acknowledge his roots when grown. I knew all too well that as a woman with no connections, I could never provide the child a comfortable life alone. My parents said I was still young enough to remarry well. They started arranging matchmaking meetings for me again. A state factory worker raising kids alone, a widower who lost his wife. One late night, I boarded the train to the provincial capital with the Jiang family's money and grandma's golden hairpin tucked in my pocket. With that money, I settled into a new home in the city, with my elder cousin's help. I opened a clothing store and started fresh. From then on, the world was my oyster. Story 2. I married my childhood sweetheart with a limp. Before the wedding, he vowed to repay my kindness. The limp came from saving his life. After marriage, he resented me for forcing the union, believing I'd torn him from his true love. His hatred ran so deep he swore he'd rather be the cripple than wed to me. When I opened my eyes again, I was back at the moment before his car crash. This time, I didn't save him. Let him remain that cripple. Jiangxia, the golden boy everyone in the compound admired, became a lame man. The shocking news spread like wildfire throughout the entire building. Mom grabbed my arm. What on earth is going on? You and Jiangxia have been close since childhood. Should we visit him at the hospital? It happened on Mid-Autumn Festival. The Lin and Jiang families were having their customary reunion dinner, though Mom missed it due to last-minute overtime. While waiting for their food, Jiangxia's mother scrolled through short videos with a beaming smile. Suddenly, her smile froze on her face. A short video titled, Someone Else's Admirer, had garnered over 100,000 likes. In the clip, a boy clutched a massive bouquet of roses with an awkward expression. The 3 large boxes behind him were all filled with gift packages. The girl in the white dress played hard to get, her eyes crinkling into crescent moons. Uncle Jiang was furious when he recognized the male lead in the video as his own son. You've grown too big for your boots, never listening to a word we say. I told you this girl is trouble. Her mother's been with over a dozen men, doesn't even know who the girl's real father is. Jiangxia clenched his phone, shooting me a disapproving look. I smiled without responding. Lin Yin. I know there's some misunderstanding between you and Qian. No matter what. You shouldn't have said those things in front of our parents. After knowing you for nearly 18 years, I never realized you could be this jealous. He assumed all our parents' resentment towards Su Qian stemmed from me badmouthing her behind their backs. Uncle Jiang was furious. What's gotten into you? You always used to stand up for A Yen. It's that Su girl who's been acting improperly. Jiang just stood up abruptly. The sound of his palm slamming the table startling nearby diners. Qian is nothing like her mother. With that, he stormed out, slamming the door behind him. I was too busy texting Su Qian while crossing the road and didn't see the oncoming car. Ended up getting my leg shattered. This time, he'd have to face that gravel-loaded truck alone. In my past life, I ran out after him. When I spotted the approaching vehicle, I pulled him to safety but couldn't dodge it myself, left me with a permanent limp. Later, the Jiang family insisted he marry me. I declined. But Jiangja insisted that saving his life was a debt requiring a lifetime to repay. When I asked about Su Qian, he said we were never meant to be, doomed from the start. In that moment, I thought the boy I once knew had returned, only to face decades of icy cruelty instead. Turns out he thought that car accident was my self-inflicted scheme. He plans to use marriage as his gilded cage to punish me, the one who tore him apart from his true love. When he learned I'd had a crush on him since childhood, he actually gagged in disgust. Lin Yin, you're downright manipulative. Your so-called affection makes me sick. Even in his final moments, he was begging me, if I could do it over, I'd rather be crippled than ever lay eyes on you again. So when I was reborn, I granted his wish. I sat quietly in the diner and watched that car plow into him. Mom was right all along. We truly knew each other best back then. I vaguely remember it was during kindergarten, when I still lived in the compound. Where there are people, there's hierarchy. Kids are no exception. Those who are articulate and physically strong are natural-born leaders among children, born quiet and reserved. I was doomed to be at the bottom of the food chain. Nobody included me in their games, but I was always the first scapegoat when trouble arose. My pretty new hairbow got borrowed by an older girl the very first day I wore it out. That borrowing lasted over 3 years. Things got slightly better after Jiangja moved in. He couldn't speak Mandarin properly, always mixing up 4 and 10, South and Orchid. He'd get laughed at the moment he opened his mouth. That day Jiangja did exceptionally well in kindergarten and earned 3 little red flowers. He sat obediently on the doorstep waiting for his parents, while the chubby kid next door eyed him with disdain. Country bumpkin, repeat after me. 4 is 4. 10 is 10, 40 is 40. Jiangja stumbled over the words, blurting out, FFF4. This sent everyone around into fits of laughter. Little Fatty snatched his red flower badge, and when the boy tried to grab it back, he got kicked flat on his back. Another round of laughter erupted. Somehow, it felt like I was looking at myself. They used to treat me the same way, mocking me as the little mute. I remembered what Dad once told me, Ayen, you must be a brave child. So I grabbed the mop handle from the floor and swung at Little Fatty. After a stunned moment, Little Fatty wrestled with me in a tussle. Jiangja and the other kids jumped into the fight. The odds were stacked against us from the start, 2 against 8. Both Jiangja and I came away bruised, but it worked out in the end. The other kids actually started treating us better once they realized we'd fight back. After that, Jiangja would often tell me, Ayan, you know what? You were like a hero descending from heaven back then. To thank his little hero, he'd save up his pocket money to buy me dolls. When playing house, he'd stubbornly insist we pretend to be husband and wife, would take over my cleaning duties during school sanitation drives, stayed up late studying with me and compiled my mistake notebook. Got into fights when rude guys called acne-ridden faces ugly, just like that. From kindergarten through high school, we were never apart. They even got admitted to the same college within the same university. During military training, the instructor played pass the parcel, and it stopped when it reached Jiangja. According to the rules, he had to go up and sing. Jiangja flushed crimson, refusing to step forward. He's like Conan from the comics, handsome, athletic, brilliant in studies with sky-high IQ, but when he sings, it's pure auditory torture. Perhaps recalling childhood embarrassment of being mocked for not speaking Mandarin, he refuses to start college by becoming the campus laughingstock. He hesitated and refused to step onto the stage. The instructor grew impatient. Will someone sing for him? I will. A clear female voice rang out, instantly capturing everyone's attention. 2. Under the relentless sun. The freshmen' faces were all slightly tanned and sunburnt, yet Su Qian seemed blessed by the goddess Nuwa herself, her skin remaining fair and delicate. Her radiant smile lit up the stage as her rendition of A Little Love Song brought thunderous applause. The melody lingered in her classmates' ears, and quite a few boys' hearts. Even before the semester officially began, she had already gained a reputation as the campus sweetheart. Jiangja embarrassed himself that day, constantly mixing up his marching steps until the drill instructor was fuming. I admit I was a bit slow on the uptake and failed to notice his discomfort. At the hometown reunion, he got drunk. It wasn't until I was cleaning up his vomit that the pieces finally clicked. Su Qian, Su Qian, Su Qian, you know what? That day you were like a hero descended from heaven. I clutched the towel in my hands, feeling utterly at a loss. A hero, really? Then what am I? Perhaps Su Qian truly was Jiangja's hero. She changed his life. He still bought 2 breakfasts, took double notes, and preheated the hand warmers. But these things used to be done for me. Now they're all for Su Qian. She's done plenty for him too, covering for him when he skipped class, ordering his drinks at the club, even handing him a lighter when he was learning to smoke. I was busy joining all sorts of campus clubs with my roommates when I saw Jiangja again. He had dark circles under his eyes, having just returned from the bar. If you keep this up, your parents won't be happy. Jiangja's parents had high expectations for him, so I gave it to him straight. Lin Yan, you're really boring. How can someone in their 20s live like an old granny? Youth is meant to be wild, you get that? Hearing him say that, the boy before me suddenly felt like a stranger. I remember when he accompanied me to that coming-of-age drama, he scoffed at every cliché moment. Who says youth is all about clubbing, abortions and breakups? Our youth means studying to solve our nation's toughest technological challenges, though the words sounded naive and somewhat imitative of Premier Zhou's style. But back then, his eyes shone with aspiration, his voice brimming with heroic passion. I took it seriously. I despise monotonous routines, yet equally detest watching those around me spiral downward, clueless about how to handle Jiangja's transformation. I strolled across campus with my best friend Song Xiaoxiao. The university feels vast, yet paradoxically small. We accidentally overheard Su Qian chatting with her friend. Su Qian's mother never held a proper job, drifting between different men her entire life. Growing up in that environment, she naturally picked up some people-reading skills. As an art specialty student, her major had bleak career prospects. She knew all too well that to land someone above her social class, campus was the only hunting ground. Once out in society, matching social status would become non-negotiable, so she set her sights on our faculty. Jiangja wasn't the most affluent among the freshmen, not exactly the shyest or easiest to manipulate, but among the well-off classmates, he was the most pliable. So Su Qian had her sights set on him early. A sweet kiss and a few flirtatious glances were all it took to win over the drumming instructor. She truly is a hero, the kind who digs a pit on your destined path, only to rescue you after you've fallen in. I opened WeChat and typed out a long message for Jiangja's mother, but after some thought, I ended up deleting it. No matter how much I explained, Jiangja remained convinced that his parents' dislike for Su Qian stemmed from me badmouthing her behind their backs. The truth was, it all came down to how terrifying big data algorithms can be. Jiangja's mother came across a local Douyin video where a woman was tearfully denouncing the other woman who wrecked her marriage. The scorned wife had doxed the alleged mistress, even posting her family photos online. That homewrecker happened to be Su Qian's mother. Perhaps all middle-aged women harbor an instinctive loathing for mistresses, who'd willingly let others reap what they've toiled half their life to sow. But Jiangja refused to believe it. Such coincidence seemed impossible. At first he said, "Come on Lin Yan. I'd actually respect you if you had the guts to own up to your actions." Later he said, "So what if it is? If Qian wove this love trap for me, I'll gladly fall right in." Fine then, let's keep sinking deeper. There are things even mom doesn't know. She mentioned Jiangja had been hospitalized for 3 days after an appendectomy, and I cried my heart out every day worrying about him. How could I possibly not visit him now? I nodded, and mom made a pot of chicken soup that Jiangja loves for me to bring. Before even entering the ward, I saw Jiangja's mother sighing heavily in the hallway. When she saw me, guilt and remorse flickered in her eyes. I truly don't understand how he became like this." She then turned away to wipe her tears. Through the door crack, I saw sunlight bathing Jiangja's face, his eyes glistening. Pushing the door open, I saw Su Qian blushing shyly while peeling an apple. When she noticed my arrival, she set the apple aside and took Jiangja's hand. "Lin Yan, I've decided to be with Jiangja. We're getting engaged on graduation day. I can't decide whether to call this progress too fast or too slow." After military training, Jiangja started orbiting Su Qian like a satellite. Yet throughout these nearly 4 years, Su Qian never gave a nod of approval, nor did she ever outright refuse. She simply said her unusual family background made her inherently insecure, and she needed more time to test Jiang's commitment. That's why Jiang blocked me on WeChat for a while. I knew Su Qian was just biding her time, waiting until he'd invested enough sunk costs, waiting for the perfect opportunity. Now she's finally gotten her wish. Jiang proudly held Su Qian's hand and said to his parents, "Dad, Mom, you know what they say, adversity reveals true love. Now that I'm crippled, Qian hasn't abandoned me. Do you still doubt her character?" Jiang's father wanted to say more, but his mother couldn't bear seeing their son lying in the hospital bed, so she reluctantly gave in. Su Qian asked me, "Lin Yan, you'll give us your blessing, won't you?" I nodded, wishing you a lifetime of happiness and love. With that, I left the hospital carrying the thermos of chicken soup. Near the hospital stood an abandoned warehouse where a lost Samoyed had just given birth to puppies. I poured chicken soup into a cracked bowl. The Samoyed gratefully wagged its tail after drinking, then showed me her little pups. As I petted the puppies, memories from my past life came flooding back. In that previous life, after breaking my leg, I fell into depression and avoided human contact for a long time. Then I realized life wasn't so bleak after all. I still had Jiangja, who could fulfill my dreams for me, so I tutored him in English, helped him prepare for the GMAT, and polished his presentations. In the end, he received an acceptance letter from Stanford. After several years of advanced studies in the U.S., he became a rising star in his field. Not only did he return to his homeland, but he also brought back an entire research team. He overcame critical technological challenges in semiconductors, breaking the West's stranglehold on the industry. His name appears frequently not just in academic journals, but also in news headlines. Golden Boy falls short of describing him. Some even hail him as a national hero of the new era. His only regret was probably marrying me and losing Su Qian. Jiangja somehow heard about Su Qian's wedding and drank himself into a stupor alone, limping around. I made him sobering soup, only for him to slap it onto the floor. "Lin Yan, you must be thrilled now. Huh, Qian and I will never be together. You won. Happy now. If I could do it over, I'd rather die than owe you my life." I probably should have cried then, but years of numbness left me dry-eyed. I just kept wondering, what if I hadn't chased after them that day? I've never really put much stock in fortune-telling or prophecies, because I believe the future exists, but it's not set in stone. Every possible future is shaped by human choices, fortunately. I now have ample time to see what kind of life Jiangja would have lived under different choices. In this second life, many things have changed, yet some remain the same. I'm still working hard on my English, asking professors for recommendation letters, and taking exams, only this time, it's all for myself. Since leaving the hospital, I haven't seen Jiangja again. I'm swamped, but he's even busier than me. Su Qian's mother was drowning in gambling debts, having finally hooked a cash cow. How could she let him slip away? Before even getting engaged, they made outrageous demands. 1.88 million in bride price, a fully paid luxury apartment solely under Su Qian's name. Jiangja's parents refused, and their first meeting ended in bitter disagreement. Su Qian sobbed, saying Jiangja's parents looked down on her and she refused to live under their thumb. 3. Jiangja outright rebelled against his parents and moved out, while my parents were bragging about my Stanford grad school offer. His parents gained streaks of gray hair over their son's sudden defiance. Later, both our parents found themselves worrying about money. My parents are learning how to exchange foreign currency on their phones so they can send me money later. Dad's still considering taking on a side gig since the cost of living abroad is so high. I laughed and said there's no need to go that far. After all, I've got a full scholarship. Jiangja's parents finally gave in to their son and agreed to Su Qian's mother's request. They came back saying the previous terms had expired, demanding an additional Mercedes-Benz. I never found out what they ultimately agreed on. All I knew was that Jiangja was hosting his engagement party as I boarded my flight to America. I'd taken this exact same flight in my past life, but I was just a supporting character, going to America to take care of Jiangja's daily needs. Jiangja, holding that acceptance letter, was the real protagonist. The flight to America had Wi-Fi, so I caught glimpses of Jiangja's engagement banquet through social media. The engagement ceremony took place at the looming Pavilion Hotel, with its elegantly decorated grand hall. Su Qian's mother had converted the betrothal gifts into cash and piled it all over a table, just to show off. It was a bizarre mix of vulgarity and extravagance, as absurd as Jiangja standing there before Su Qian, limping in his suit with an ingratiating smile plastered across his face, though he remained blissfully unaware of how ridiculous he looked. His classmates called him the winner at life, the flattery turning his face crimson. As the sun rose over the U.S. West Coast, A WeChat notification popped up on my phone. Lin Yan, I found my happiness. I hope you find yours too. I glanced at it and left it unanswered. Emotions are the least significant thing in my life. Life in America has its ups and downs. I studied under a renowned mentor, debating with classmates of diverse backgrounds. My English has become nearly indistinguishable from a native speaker's. I've been to Yellowstone, where I saw bison taller than cars and black bears so plump they looked like walking meatballs. I even fed a bald eagle that put on a fierce front but turned out to be a total softie. All that greasy, sugary American fast food got old fast, so I gradually honed my cooking skills. I once wowed my classmates with a simple yet perfect scrambled eggs with tomatoes. I was speechless when my Japanese classmate served strawberry mapo tofu. I've experienced the horror of a street shooting while shopping. I've also felt the warmth of classmates wishing me Happy New Year in broken Chinese. Later, I brought my parents to the U.S. The elderly couple didn't feel intimidated at all in a foreign land. Instead, they eagerly learned English from me like curious kids, growing younger at heart. One Christmas, I took them to a concert at Las Vegas Spherical Theater. The dazzlingly realistic special effects were absolutely mesmerizing. Their Douyin post got 500 likes. Jiang's mom commented, "So envious," with a sad emoji. It was the first time I thought of him since graduation. I turned 30 the year I returned home, neither young nor old. An aunt from our old compound suddenly got the idea to organize a gathering. The kids I used to play with are all around my age now. The single ladies were comparing anti-aging products, trying to hold on to the last vestiges of youth. The boys with chubby cheeks aren't faring much better either. Those within the system lament how their predictable lives lack passion. Those outside the system dread approaching the age of workforce obsolescence, drowning in uncertainty. It's like a walled city. Outsiders envy those inside, while insiders envy those outside. My alma mater sent me a professorship offer, and I became a professor at the age of 30. I now have my own lab, and my research proposal was approved long ago. Mom was so thrilled she wanted to show off to all the old neighbors. I pressed a finger to my lips in a hushing gesture. Drawing envy from others is never a good thing. The chubby little boy from childhood has grown into a gaunt young man under life's pressures. He said to me sheepishly, "Yan, I'm sorry for bullying you when we were kids. Oh man, seeing you reminds me of that time you fought me over Jiangxia. I never knew where your scrawny little self got all that strength from." At this point, Auntie Jean from next door chimed in, "Oh yes, when you kids played house, Yan and Jiangxia always ended up as the married couple. If we didn't let Jiangxia marry you, he'd throw himself on the ground kicking and screaming. When are we finally going to get that wedding invitation?" Mom awkwardly pulled Auntie Jean aside. "Jiangxia's actually been engaged for a while now. Our Yan has a boyfriend now too." The private room fell so quiet you could hear a pin drop. "Lin Yan, are you seeing someone?" After a moment, a voice came from the corner. I glanced sideways and saw him in a black jacket, looking disheveled with his head hung low, as if trying not to be noticed, but I knew, it was Jiangxia. Back then, everyone believed modern medical technology was advanced enough that no one would be crippled for life. In my past life, I thought the same way, but the leg never healed properly. Jiangxia limped toward me with his bad leg. His eyes were bloodshot, burning with intensity. His lips parted slightly, then quickly sealed shut again. After repeating this 4 times, he only managed to mutter, "Thank you." Then he poured himself a full glass of baijiu, downed it in one gulp, and slammed the cup heavily onto the table. He limped out of the private room. His figure gradually blended into the crowd. It suddenly struck me that he was no different from the passers-by on the street, just as ordinary, just as, we won't cross paths again. During my 8 years in the U.S., I experienced firsthand how inefficient and lazy American cops can be. Any random auntie from the neighborhood could out-investigate those pot-bellied officers by miles. Take my mom, for example. After the party, she eagerly pulled me aside to gossip about Jiangxia and Suqian. Landing a job in our field isn't hard. Just graduate successfully and you're set. With some luck, fresh graduates can land a monthly salary around 10K. That's pretty decent for ordinary folks who keep their feet on the ground. But Suqian refused, believing that starting a business was far better than working for someone else. She persuaded Jiangxia to open a restaurant together, only for the pandemic to hit shortly after their grand opening, with dine-in services banned. Customer traffic plummeted. Sometimes they couldn't make a single sale for 3 straight days, yet utility bills and rent payments couldn't be delayed even for a day. Every extra day open means deeper losses. After struggling for 4 months, Jiangxia had no choice but to sell the shop. All told, the losses came to about $500,000. Suqian claimed live streaming sales were a gold rush, with nightly earnings in the tens of thousands. The two of them jumped into live streaming with unstoppable energy. Honestly speaking, Su Qian is genuinely good-looking. With her looks, singing talent, and conversational skills, her account gained traction fast. In less than 3 months, they'd already amassed nearly 300k followers. They often post cute couple skits that go viral pretty easily. Su Qian knew better than to cash in too soon. She started with basic brand deals to build her following. She only started live streaming sales after hitting 5 million followers. Just as she predicted, pulling in tens of thousands per night became effortless. At their peak, they could afford to buy a luxury flat outright in just half a month. Later, professional fraud investigators set their sights on them, alleging that their bird's nest product was just thick sugarcane syrup posing as the real thing. The feud escalated into a prolonged online war of words between both parties. The official appraisal report confirms the whistleblower was right. Selling counterfeit goods, especially when it involves food safety, is no trivial matter. Either compensate tenfold for the fake product. Failure to compensate may lead to criminal charges. The more they sold, the more they lost. Jiang's parents' hair turned completely white during that period. In the end, the elderly couple had to sell their house and empty their life savings to help Jiang plug this financial black hole. Jiang and Su Qian began blaming each other. Su Qian called Jiang useless, saying if he had any social skills, they wouldn't be losing money like this. Jiang accused Su Qian of being irresponsible for not vetting the products properly. The two grew increasingly distant. Jiang was broke, but Su Qian still had her looks going for her. Before long, through her mother's introduction, she hooked up with an overweight tycoon pushing 50. The portly man spared no expense showering her with money, so Su Qian happily bid Jiang farewell. They'd only been engaged, no marriage certificate, no children, making their split clean and uncomplicated. Putting it nicely, it's still their first marriage. This happened 6 years after I graduated with my bachelor's degree. After a period of depression, Jiang found a job with his parents' encouragement, but the job market dealt him another heavy blow. The hedonistic lifestyle had made him forget all his professional knowledge. Employers are spoiled for choice with wave after wave of fresh graduates who'd want to hire someone pushing 30 with a blank resume. All the resumes he sent out vanished without a trace, not even an acknowledgement. My methodical classmates have mostly settled into stable careers. The occasional unemployed ones never lost their roots. And with work experience under their belt, finding new jobs isn't hard. The former golden child ended up becoming the biggest underachiever. Jiang grew increasingly withdrawn, living off his parents' pensions at home. Only when I stumble upon an entertaining short video do I let out a scornful chuckle. After saying those words, Mom was suddenly gripped by fear. If you ended up with Jiang, I can't even imagine. What Mom couldn't bear to imagine was exactly what I'd lived through in my past life. I'd been well-behaved and sensible since childhood, which made me Jiang's mother's favorite. After I became lame from saving him, his parents seized the opportunity to arrange our marriage. At first, they protected me so much that I genuinely felt like their own daughter. Under his parents' pressure, Jiang maintained superficial harmony with me. But I was wrong. A daughter and a daughter-in-law are fundamentally different, like all parents-in-law under heaven. They yearned to hold their grandchild, yet my womb remained silent. They instinctively blamed me, believing I was robbing them of the joys of family life. The truth is, Jiang never laid a finger on me. He's a healthy man. I've no idea how he takes care of his needs, but that's certainly none of my business. I watched my parents grow colder toward me with each passing day. Jiang couldn't even be bothered to maintain the facade of harmony. Once when we went shopping, he walked ahead and pushed open a store's glass door, limping desperately to catch up. Just as I reached the door, he released the handle. The door swung back, knocking me flat on the ground while nearby children burst into laughter. They laughed at my awkwardness, my limp, my ungainly walk. Jiang joined in the laughter. An older woman couldn't bear to watch anymore. She pulled me up and asked, "Girl, you're still young. What do you see in someone like him?" I asked myself the same question. What exactly did I see in him? Was it when Mom wouldn't let me keep cats as a child, and he secretly built us a hideout where we raised 3 stray kittens together? Was it that spring outing when I sprained my ankle, and he carried me all the way back to school? Was it the way his focused profile captivated me while he worked through difficult problems? Perhaps I'd already fallen for Jiang before I even understood what liking someone meant. Finally, the eldest sister let out a sigh. "Girl, he's not worth your affection." I clearly saw Jiang freeze for a moment. That night, Jiang's face was full of disdain and mockery. "So you like me, huh? Is this why you staged that whole act, faking a leg injury to save me?" Just to guilt-trip me into marrying you, Lin Yin, you're ruthless." With that, he stormed out without looking back. When he returned the next day, he reeked of cheap perfume. I touched my crippled leg, utterly at a loss. God. How could I be so cruel? How could I treat myself so harshly? My career quickly got on track, and we had a modest wedding before getting legally married. My husband is an American-born Chinese who returned to the homeland with me. We became the most talked-about couple on campus, just like Jiangxia and Su Qian all those years ago. Sometimes I think I finally understand why childhood sweethearts rarely stand a chance against fate's surprises. Sternberg proposed that love consists of three elements: passion, intimacy, and commitment. Those we've known since childhood often have abundant intimacy but lack passion. People tend to take for granted what they've always possessed, though not as deeply familiar. My husband and I never run out of things to talk about. His eyes widened in disbelief when I told him Chinese restaurants don't serve fortune cookies, exclaiming I'd ruined his childhood. It suddenly clicked when he explained most American houses use wooden frames rather than concrete structures. No wonder serial killers in American shows can hack through walls with just a kitchen knife. I thought life would just go on like this, and I'd never see Jiangxia again. That day at the farmer's market, my husband and I ran into Jiangxia's mother. She was the same age as my mom and had lived comfortably before, but now she looked years older than my mother. She nervously tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. "Ayen got married, want to come over to our place for dinner later?" When I saw her casually drop a bitter melon into the shopping basket, I knew there was no way I could say no. I have rather peculiar taste preferences. I enjoy drinking black Americano coffee. I prefer chocolate with a hint of bitterness over purely sweet ones. Among vegetables, bitter gourd is my absolute favorite. That subtle bitter note feels incredibly refreshing to me. I used to mooch meals at Jiangxia's place as a kid, and my peculiar taste preferences even rubbed off on his mom. Bitter melon became a regular on their dining table. Back then, his parents would say, "Look after Ayan at school. Don't let anyone bully her." Jiangxia would shovel a huge mouthful of rice and flex his underdeveloped biceps. You bet, Jiangxia's father said this was the best way to cure his picky eating habit. On the way home, Jiangxia's mother reminisced about the past. 5. Ayan. You've always been so lovely since childhood. Both his father and I have always adored you. We even planned for you two to study abroad together and return for academic positions. Having winter and summer vacations to spend time with family and children, what could be better? It seems he wasn't destined for this blessing. She gave my husband an inscrutable look before exhaling wearily. I reassured her. Please don't say that. Perhaps Jiangxia's fortune lies elsewhere. Truth be told, I've never believed in such notions of predestined fortune. Everyone must face the consequences of their own choices. Jiangxia's family moved into a cramped old house where her husband had to stoop to enter. Upon seeing him, Jiangxia nervously smoothed her hair and wiped her hands on a towel. Then she lit another cigarette. The husband waved his hand. Ayen can't stand the smell of smoke. Jiangxia immediately stubbed out the cigarette in his hand. He kept shifting positions on the sofa, crossing and uncrossing his legs restlessly. This exact mix of awkwardness and insecurity, I've lived through it countless times in past lives. After a long silence, Jiangxia finally spoke. Both of you are top graduates from Stanford. Let me ask you something. Do you think parallel universes exist? Her husband countered. Why bring this up all of a sudden? Lately, I think I've been seeing things that happened in another world. In that world, on the day of the accident, Ayan saved me. She ended up with a limp. My husband pressed further. What happened then? Did Ayan get to study in America? No, I was the one who went to study. Did you take good care of Ayan for her entire life? Jiangxia gazed into his eyes and remained silent for a long while. I hated her for my whole life. The husband quickly responded. A world like that couldn't possibly exist. Ayan didn't deserve to suffer like that. Saying Jiangxia hated me for a lifetime in our past incarnation isn't entirely accurate, because we never lived what you'd call a full lifetime. In her previous life, Su Qian married into a wealthy family, but within a few years, the rich heir grew bored and found himself a younger girl outside. Su Qian lacked the confidence to resist. After all, everything she had came from him. Depressed, she reconnected with Jiangxia. They often confided their marital woes late into the night. At first Jiangxia would sneak off to the bathroom, but eventually he stopped hiding and put me on speakerphone right in front of me. After Jiangxia secured a 50 million yuan research grant, Su Qian finally made up her mind to file for divorce. With that promise in hand, Jiangxia felt reborn, grinning like a kid on Christmas morning, the moment he got home from work. He practically dragged me to the civil affairs office without explanation. Along the way, He whistled cheerfully for the first time in ages, humming a tune under his breath. The youthful spark returned to his eyes, but in the end, we didn't go through with the divorce. As we were passing a construction site, an accident occurred. A massive crane came crashing down, landing right on us. That suffocating sensation of impending death. The crimson haze, the struggle for breath, was utterly unbearable. As consciousness flickered, Jiang's voice pierced through the haze. He said he hated me, hated how I'd forced marriage upon him through obligation, shackling his entire existence. I couldn't tell how long my consciousness drifted through that void of darkness. It could have been millennia, or just a fleeting moment. When the crushing weight of earth and stone lifted, I opened my eyes to find myself back at the mid-autumn family dinner table. I never understood why Jiang thanked me that day. Was it for standing up for him when we were kids? Should I be thanking fate for granting his wish by never coming to his rescue? But I find myself curiously indifferent to the answer. What difference does it make either way? And so concludes the story of Jiangxia and me. Everything I later learned about Jiangxia came straight from my mother's mouth. She said Jiangxia kept taking civil service exams until 35, but never managed to pass. Eventually he wasn't even eligible to register anymore. As Zhang's parents aged and hospital visits became frequent, their pensions couldn't sustain his idle lifestyle. He had no choice but to go out and earn money. With no other options, he took up food delivery. On his very first day, he got fined hundreds for being late after a customer complaint. He confronted the customer at their doorstep, scared them, and got detained by police for 3 days. After his release, he started working day jobs like the legendary Sanha day laborers. Earning a couple $100 for a day's work, he'd coast for a few days before picking up odd jobs again. My husband and I, like Jiangxia in a past life, cracked a major semiconductor challenge. Though we're not particularly interested in making headlines or appearing in the news, I just enjoy taking my parents to explore good eats around town on weekends, savoring all kinds of delicious food. After visiting the 100th restaurant, my husband finally came to terms with the fact that fortune cookies simply weren't available there. Then let's call our daughter Lucky as her nickname. Looking at the tiny, still wrinkled bundle beside me, I nodded in agreement, though it's not typically a name given to people, but I find it perfectly fitting. How fortunate I am to get a second chance at life. Stepping out from Jiang's shadow, meeting him brought her into my life. E&D, Story 2. The junior who had a crush on Zhou Rang left me paralyzed from the waist down. He knelt by my hospital bed, holding my hand with guilt, vowing to care for me forever. Yet later, he was rolling between the sheets with that junior in our own home, and there I was behind the door, powerless to even turn away. After a year of marriage, Zhou Rang's guilt had completely faded. On the slope, he personally unlocked my wheelchair and pushed me into traffic. He only said one thing, "Donga, I owe you nothing." When I woke again, I was back in my junior year of college. In the foot spa, Zhou Rang crouched humbly before me with his toolkit. Madam, the water temperature is adjusted." I stared blankly at the person before me. At that moment, Zhou Rang still carried a youthful innocence between his brows. He pressed his lips together nervously, face flushed with embarrassment, eyes brimming with both hurt and defiance when I remained silent. "Xiadonga, if you came here just to humiliate me." Mission accomplished. Now please let me work. The air turned glacial. My best friend Xiaoqiao tried to defuse the tension, but I caught her by the wrist. Then I looked up at Zhou Rang, glancing at his name tag, Technician 35. "You find your job humiliating." I coolly averted my gaze. "Your work ethic is unacceptable. You don't even bother serving customers properly." "I want someone else." Zhou Rang stared straight at me. In his mind, I should have been groveling to please him. The old Xiadonga would never have spoken to Zhou Rang in such an icy tone. Lying on the bed, I said coldly, "Get out." Zhou Rang's knuckles turned white as he gripped the toolbox. His eyelids twitched as if deeply humiliated before he turned to leave. When everyone had left, Xiaoqiao moved closer and asked, "Have you been possessed? Weren't you just defending Zhou Rang earlier, saying his hands were meant to dance across piano keys, not massage feet? Why the sudden change?" I buried my face in my hands and let out an exhausted sigh. Looking up again, I gave a wry smile. "Someone like Zhou Rang isn't worth my attention." Xiaoqiao smiled approvingly. "Glad you finally came around. That wasn't easy." Mid-conversation, sudden commotion erupted outside the door. "Let me in. Don't stop me." Jiang Xia burst in, eyes red with anger as she confronted me. "Xiadonga, how could you humiliate Senior Zhou? A proud man like him. Do you have any idea what this means to him?" Xiaoqiao frowned. "And who exactly are you?" Jiang Xia turned away. "Rich girls like you could never understand the struggles Senior Zhou and I've been through. You just leech off your parents, while we earn our keep with dignity." If anyone should be ashamed, it's you parasites. Jiang Xia is that junior Zhou Rang always talks about. Listen to that defiant tone. What Zhou Rang admired most about Jiang Xia was her unyielding spirit, even after we got married. He'd often mention how she bloomed like a flower pushing through concrete, the complete opposite of my crippled self. I glanced at Jiang Xia's uniform and suddenly remembered, when Zhou Rang started working at this foot spa, she immediately quit her bubble tea shop job and followed him here the next day. I smirked at her. What a coincidence. The parasite you're badmouthing happens to own this place. Consider this your termination notice. You, Jiang Xiao's face flushed then paled. Panic flashing in her eyes, Zhou Rang rushed over. At the sight of him, her eyes welled up. Senior, I just wanted to stand up for you. I didn't mean to upset Xia. Zhou Rang stepped in front of Jiang Xia, frowning. If you've got a problem, take it out on me. Don't take your anger out on others. That's just laughable. Not working during office hours. Think this is your damn living room. I glared at Zhou Rang. Take it out on you. Who the hell do you think you are? Both of you, pack your shit and get out now. Understood. 2. I chased after Zhou Rang for 2 years. He's a piano prodigy with slender, dexterous hands that can make even the most ordinary piece sound extraordinary. He played the piano while I danced. We were once considered the perfect artistic duo. The arts have always been an expensive field to pursue. By his junior year, Zhou's family could no longer afford to support his education. He agreed to date me just to stay in school. Blinded by joy, I missed the resentment and humiliation in his eyes. I ended up covering all his college expenses. Zhou Rang and I got engaged right after graduation. As expected, on the very day of our engagement, Jiang Xia pushed me down the stairs, and I broke my spine. Zhou Rang rushed to the hospital. His eyes bloodshot as he knelt by my bed and said, Donga, I'll marry you. But Jiang Xia is only 22, she has a real shot at joining a top-tier dance company. Could we just let this go? Under the covers, I dug my nails into my lifeless legs, my voice trembling. But Zhou Rang, I was a dancer too. His hand shook as he clutched mine, tears falling onto my skin like rain. Donga, just let her go, will you? Zhou Rang knew perfectly well that elite dance company he mentioned had always been my dream. I was supposed to join right after the engagement. I was this close. After being discharged, I became partially paralyzed and could never return to the stage. Zhou Rang pleaded with countless people but still couldn't get Jiang Xia released. Later he visited me daily, weeping with guilt, saying it was all his fault that I ended up like this. For the longest time, he never once mentioned Jiang Xia. I thought he had truly moved on. Donga, I'll take responsibility for you, trust me on this. Zhou Rang gazed at me with tearful, soulful eyes. I nodded, my own eyes reddened. My wedding with Zhou Rang went smoothly. He was genuinely good to me at first, until Jiang Xia showed up at my home. Trembling with rage, I confronted her. Shouldn't you be in prison? How is this possible? Jiang Xia looked down at me with a smirk, holding out my school dance costume and shoes. Senior, you left something behind, she said. I'm just returning your belongings. She smirked at my legs, though I suppose you don't need them anymore. I lunged at her like a madman, screaming, how are you here? How are you here? Jiang Xia took a step back, relishing the sight of me tumbling helplessly from the wheelchair. She batted her eyelashes. I owe my ability to stand here so comfortably to your dear father. I froze. Zhou Rang happened to return at that moment. He frowned at Jiang Xia before rushing over to support me. With bloodshot eyes, I clutched his hand tightly and pointed at Jiang Xia. She escaped from prison. Call the police to arrest her now. Hurry. Zhou Rang looked at me with pity. Donga, Jiang Xia didn't break out of prison. Seeing Zhou Rang's calm expression, I completely broke down. He clung to me desperately, urging Jiang Xia to leave immediately. That day I sank my teeth deep into Zhou Rang's shoulder, staining his white shirt crimson with blood. Only then did I realize my father, seeing me so despondent, had feared I might do something drastic. Back then, Zhou Rang was the only one who could bring light to my eyes, and I became utterly dependent on him. Zhou Rang approached my father, offering to marry me and stay by my side for life, on the condition that Jiang Xia be spared without a single blemish on her record. As I was my father's only daughter, his heart softened and he agreed. Later, Jiang Xia returned to campus. Her 2-month disappearance was whitewashed as a study abroad exchange, after which she became a scholarship-winning campus goddess in everyone's eyes. After learning the truth, I cried daily, consumed by anxiety and insecurity. Zhou Rang treated me even better than before, tolerating all my tantrums without complaint. Over time, I gradually came to believe everything was my fault. Zhou Rang had sacrificed too much. I started walking on eggshells to please him. Jiang Xia never showed up again. In the third year of our marriage, Zhou Rang completely took over my family's company. My father suffered a stroke from overwork and was hospitalized. I kept wanting to visit him, but Zhou wouldn't allow it. That night, they drank until the early hours celebrating Zhou Rang's successful takeover of the company. In the end, it was Jiang Xia who brought him home. In the dimly lit living room, I watched my husband being affectionate with the woman who ruined me. Zhou Rang staggered over and patted my head, saying, "Donga, it's too late. I don't feel comfortable letting Xia go home alone. She'll stay with us tonight." With that, he led Jiang Xia back to their room. A door now stood between us. Inside, laughter and warmth lingered. Outside, only cold desolation remained. 3. The whole campus is buzzing about me finally cutting off Zhou Rang. The forums are flooded with discussions about it. Onlooker 1, bet you anything Xia Donga is playing hard to get. No way she'd give up after chasing Zhou Rang for so long. Onlooker 2, Xia's gorgeous, loaded and talented. Zhou's just a social climber, so what if she was blind before? Our queen's got her vision back now. Melon Observer 3, seconded, nailed it, Summer Zhou. If y'all got so much free time, go practice your skills. Anybody with eyes can see Zhou Rang Sr. was never into Xia Donga. She threw herself at him but got rejected. That's why she gave up. So cringe. Soon the comment section erupted into chaos, with Summer Zhou single-handedly taking on the entire crowd, quite entertaining to watch. As I looked down at my phone, a shadow suddenly fell across my view. I looked up to see Zhou Rang staring at me with a stern face. "We need to talk." I grabbed my things and walked away without looking back. Talk to him. I feel sick just looking at him now. Donga. Zhou Rang came chasing after me. Seeing me walk faster, he stood still and shouted, "Xia Donga. Don't make me angry, you know what'll happen." I froze abruptly. This was the exact phrase Zhou Rang, who cheated after marriage, always used. Memories of him yanking my hair and beating me flooded back, my body trembling uncontrollably. I turned slowly to find him standing a short distance away. That gaze, it was definitely not the restrained Zhou Rang I knew now. He approached step by step, finally stopping just an arm's length before me, with the same smug confidence as calling a dog. He extended his hand. "Come here." I froze in place while Zhou Rang maintained that faint smirk. After a moment, I lifted my head and took a firm step back. Watching Zhou Rang's stunned expression, I spat out, "Go fuck yourself." I turned and walked away, hearing Zhou Rang grind his teeth behind me. "You'll regret this." Rounding the corner, I slumped against the wall gasping for air, my palms slick with cold sweat. No matter how calm I appeared on the surface, but years of psychological manipulation had wired me to instinctively fear Zhou Rang. I kept telling myself it's a fresh start. Zhou Rang's just a penniless student now, powerless to do anything. Yet this gnawing unease persisted until I heard a hauntingly familiar melody. In its past life, this composition had taken the internet by storm the moment it dropped. Its creator was an obscure pianist who'd lived in a basement for 3 years. The heartbreaking yet uplifting backstory made the piece resonate deeply, but now, the composer's credit went to Zhou Rang. I cursed under my breath. What a scumbag. The pity was, no one else knew how despicable Zhou Rang truly was. According to the timeline from my past life, the original composer only had a rough idea for this melody in their head at this point, hadn't even started writing it down. Even he himself probably felt like he'd had a mental collision with Zhou Rang. As before, this composition grew increasingly popular, with many approaching to purchase its copyright. Zhou Rang suddenly became the golden boy of the entire academy. This composition solved his financial difficulties. Those days of struggling to pay tuition and put food on the table in my past life never returned, though I despised Zhou Rang's actions. I couldn't produce any evidence and had to watch this scoundrel thrive. 4. I saw Zhou Rang again 2 weeks later. He played Mariage d'amour under the girls' dormitory. Under the streetlight, Zhou Rang stood in a tailored suit, his eyes radiating sheer arrogance. The air buzzed with fawning admiration as starstruck girls gasped breathlessly around him. As the song ended, Zhou Rang rose and gazed at the crowd, declaring with theatrical tenderness, "Xia, be my girlfriend." Zhou Rang gazed at Jiang Xia with burning intensity as their classmates erupted in rowdy cheers. From my dorm window, I watched Jiang Xia cover her trembling lips, tears glistening as she nodded fervently. "I do." The two embraced in each other's arms. Zhou Rang spotted me, still holding Jiang Xia, tilting his head up with a smirk before shooting me a knowing eyebrow raise. I rolled my eyes and drew the curtains shut. Zhou Rang and Jiang Xia's romance burned with passionate intensity. They broke into the music classroom at midnight, playing piano and dancing until campus security chased them halfway across the school. Defying school regulations, they took commercial gigs and went viral online. becoming the internet's most envied golden couple. They kissed and took photos atop the piano-shaped stone monument that symbolizes musicians' devotion. Jiang Xiao's pale feet rested on the piano keys while Zhou Rang knelt attentively painting her toenails. Of course, none of this had anything to do with me. After rebirth, I cherished every second. The sheer exhilaration of dancing freely with my legs was intoxicating. I started preparing for the dance troupe audition a year in advance. Those sweat-drenched practice sessions in the studio filled me with pure joy and fulfillment. Zhou Rang, Jiang Xia, your misconduct has severely damaged the school's reputation. After faculty deliberation, we're issuing both of you formal warnings. Standing outside the office door, hearing their names mentioned left me momentarily dazed. I knocked gently on the door. The counselor noticed my expression softening slightly. I handed over the form in my hand. Here's the roster you requested, Professor. The counselor took it and turned to Jiang Xia. You and Xia Dongga are in the same program. Her current skills rival dancers with years of company experience. While you're busy with flashy gimmicks, learn from your senior Xia. In our field, romance means nothing, only skill matters. Jiang Xia forced a nod with a strained smile, but her gaze toward me turned venomous. All right, the college will handle your disciplinary actions. Hold on, Zhou Rang cut in with a smile. Professor, take a look at this before deciding whether to punish us. He handed the advisor a sheet of musical notation. The advisor grew more delighted with each glance, while my frown deepened. I looked up at Zhou Rang. He met my gaze without a trace of guilt, his eyes brimming with smugness. Professor, as a fellow professional, you understand this composition's worth better than I do, Zhou Rang said reassuringly while taking Jiang Xia's hand. The piece hasn't been published yet. I can add our school's name to the credits. As for disciplinary action, surely you wouldn't want your star student tarnished with a black mark. The advisor fell silent, placing the score on the desk before saying, go back for now. I'll discuss this with the administration and get back to you. Thanks for your hard work, Professor. Zhou Rang nodded and walked out of the office with Jiang Xia. I said a quick goodbye to the advisor and hurried after them. Zhou Rang, wait up. Jiang Xia immediately stepped in front of Zhou Rang when she saw me, shooting me a hostile glare. Xia Dongga, have you no shame? He's my boyfriend now. My gaze burned into Zhou Rang's eyes with barely contained fury. Zhou Rang patted Jiang Xia's head affectionately. Be good, go back first. He leaned close to her ear. Didn't you always want to join Splendor Dance Troupe? I've got a surprise for you in a few days. Jiang Xia playfully punched his arm with a smile. Then you'd better not get too close to her. Got it, babe. After suppressing my disgust and waiting for Jiang Xia to leave, I confronted him. You stole someone's composition again. You know better than anyone that teacher Yutong wrote that piece to save his wife's life. How can you live with yourself? Zhou Rang sneered. Why wouldn't I? Yutong wouldn't finish this song for another 6 months. By then his wife would already be terminal. What good would a hit song do? Better to let it enhance my portfolio where it can actually make a difference. Teacher Yutong was your mentor. He's the one who brought you out of the mountains. Zhou Rang roared. When the song blows up and I get the money, I'll lend him the surgery fees. I'm helping him. I froze. Zhou Rang's twisted morals shattered my last shred of tolerance. You're utterly shameless. Keep stealing others' work and you'll run out of songs eventually. Sooner or later, everyone will see you're just a fraud. Zhou Rang shrugged with indifference. That's probably years away. Worst case scenario, I'll gracefully admit I've lost my touch and retire behind the scenes. People will just lament my departure and forever remember me as the prodigy Zhou Rang. By then I'll have fame and fortune. What do I care about petty gossip? Zhou Rang stepped closer, eyes burning with malice. Regretting your choices now. Xia Dongga, I gave you a chance. The first thing I did after rebirth was find you, but you blew it. Now I'm the celebrated genius while you're the pitiful cast-off. You and that idiot father of yours will get exactly what you deserve. I frowned. What does my father have to do with this? Disgust flashed in Zhou Rang's eyes as he sneered. Know why I returned later than you? Because I spent a year on the run after your death. All thanks to that old bastard father of yours. I should have rightfully inherited all Xia family shares as your widower. But no, your dad had contingency plans. The day your death was announced, his lawyer donated every last share and handed police evidence of Xiaxia pushing you off that building. Xiaxia's reputation was ruined. She panicked during the arrest, ran into traffic, and got obliterated by a truck. 3 months pregnant too. Zhou Rang grew increasingly agitated. Your father deserved to die. The bastard actually had people investigate your death beforehand, trying to send me to prison. Because of him, I've been on the run for over a year. That stroke-ridden old fool should have rotted in the nursing home. Why did he have to interfere? I froze in shock. My father had been hospitalized before my accident. He knew everything all along. He'd even arranged everything for me before collapsing himself. My eyes stung with unshed tears. Siadonga, my return proves even the heavens reject that ending. The Xia family owes me and Xia, and you'll repay every last debt. Slowly turning to Zhou Rang with bloodshot eyes, I whispered hoarsely, yes, it's time to repay. You competed in Golden Age dance troupe's audition last lifetime. Surely you remember the champion's routine. Zhou Rang's tone brooked no argument. Recreate it for Xia. That trophy belongs to her. My fists clenched tightly as I sneered. Fine. Zhou Rang was pleased by my compliance. Siadonga, admit it. No matter how many times we start over, you'd still fall for me. Don't worry. If you behave, I might reconsider. Zhou Rang started away triumphantly. I watched his retreating figure, my gaze turning icy. 5. With 3 months left until the Xingshi dance troupe auditions, Jiang Xia, egged on by Zhou Rang, showed up at the practice room to harass me daily. I put my heart and soul into teaching her the dance. Jiang Xia sneered, so much for the goddess Xia, all that effort choreographing this dance, only to hand it over to me. Seems Zhou Rang told her this dance was mine. True, though I wonder if you're even capable of pulling it off. Save your concern, I'll definitely outdance you. Jiang Xia brimmed with confidence, hoping to dominate the assessment with that same regal air. While we were preparing for exams, Zhou Rang wasn't idle either. He signed up for an obscure competition. The event seemed insignificant, but who could have predicted it would catch the eye of world-class masters? Its top performers later became industry legends. Zhou Rang's prior reputation gave him a head start, causing the competition to gain attention earlier than in his previous life. Riding on the coattails of another artist's hit song, Zhou Rang clinched the championship without breaking a sweat. The mastermind behind the scenes had taken notice of Zhou Rang, but to my surprise, it wasn't him who presented the award on finals day. I froze when a noticeably younger face appeared on camera. On the live broadcast, Zhou Rang's brows furrowed almost imperceptibly, clearly displeased with this person presenting his award, yet he restrained himself in public, his gaze fixed on the trophy with a calculating glint that starkly contrasted with the other man's composed demeanor. The man turned to Zhou Rang with a smile. I've heard your previous works, each one remarkable. Might I ask you a question? Zhou Rang kept his eyes on the trophy, his tone indifferent bordering on impatient. Go ahead. Unfazed by the rudeness, the man remained courteous. I'm curious about the dramatic emotional shifts in your compositions. Your first original piece radiated hope and passion, yet the second plunged into profound grief, all within a fortnight. What inspired such a stark transition in so short a time? Zhou Rang's expression froze, a flicker of panic flashing in his eyes. Camera flashes bombarded them as reporters scrambled for the scoop. Yet several minutes passed without Zhou Rang uttering a single word. After a pause, his face darkened as he said flatly, creation is deeply personal. I won't discuss it publicly. That question stays unanswered. The man's smile faltered as he nodded understandingly. My apologies. That was presumptuous of me. Fame grants infinite leniency. People instinctively justified Zhou Rang's eccentric behavior as artistic temperament. After the competition, Zhou Rang became the piano world's brightest rising star, the name on everyone's lips. These days he's constantly networking with elites at business functions. I haven't seen him in the practice room for ages. What's more, the original tournament champion was supposed to be taken as a disciple by that grandmaster, but in this lifetime, apart from the initial hype, the master never showed up again. Though strange, it might just be the butterfly effect after rebirth. I didn't dwell on it. After Zhou Rang rose to fame, he befriended some locally influential figures. His first move was to throw subtle obstacles in my father's company's way. My dad's been swamped lately, barely home all week. Zhou Rang called me. He said, consider this a friendly warning. Teach Xia properly. Got it. I tightened my grip on the phone. Understood. After I taught the exam choreography, Jiang Xia never showed up in the practice room again. She only crammed a few quick run-throughs right before the assessment. Soon came the evaluation day for the Grandeur dance troupe. Jiang Xia arrived at the audition radiant in meticulously prepared dancewear, having hired a professional makeup artist. The evaluation process is completely transparent and open, with all candidates permitted to observe on-site, and the entire session is being recorded. The previous groups of examinees performed at similar levels, and the judging panel appeared quite satisfied. Jiang Xia stood behind me and whispered, I really don't know why you bothered showing up, just asking for humiliation. I curled my lips and nodded, looking forward to being humiliated by you, Junior Jiang. When the examiner called my name, I ignored Jiang Xia's sarcastic remarks and stepped forward. As the music began, I danced with all my might, just like I had during countless days and nights of practice. In an instant, the surrounding noise faded away. I felt a spotlight shining down as I danced in my most beautiful costume, performing the moves I loved. When the music ended, I opened my eyes. Breathing slightly heavily, the surroundings were so quiet I could hear nothing but my own breathing. Someone started clapping, and suddenly the room erupted in applause as I bowed with a smile. As I exited, a fellow dancer came up to congratulate me. "You were amazing." Everyone was mesmerized. Even the judges couldn't stop nodding. "You've definitely got this in the bag." "Thanks." I didn't feign modesty. No one understood better than me how much effort I'd poured into preparing for this audition. "I'll keep working hard to deserve these flowers and applause." "TCH, who are you trying to fool?" Jiangxia rolled her eyes nearby. Soon it was her turn to take the stage. I have to admit, Jiangxia has a natural talent for this. She doesn't practice diligently, but her innate abilities carry her through. The performance was flawless though not particularly outstanding. It's just a shame the dance ended up being so conventional. I had higher hopes for her. Jiangxia's innovative choreography also earned her plenty of applause. She strode off stage with her head held high, oblivious to the furrowed brows of a veteran judge in the panel. Jiangxia deliberately bumped into me as she passed by, smirking. "Oops, senior, guess I stole your spotlight." I curled my lips slightly, watching her in silence. My gaze made Jiangxia visibly uneasy. She scoffed and walked away. My gaze shifted to the judges' panel, where the frowning teacher exchanged a few words with colleagues before their eyes subtly drifted toward Jiangxia. Jiangxia, who'd been confident of victory moments earlier, now sensed something amiss and nervously clutched at her skirt. Though all contestants should have been dismissed immediately after performances, we were all instructed to remain. The venue was then sealed off as organizing committee officials arrived. Everyone was whispering and speculating, terrified the matter might involve them. I waited calmly, but Jiangxia couldn't sit still. She crept up to me and asked anxiously, "Xiadonga, did you do something?" I smiled. "Jiangxia, a clear conscience fears no false accusations. Why panic?" Jiangxia gnashed her teeth. "If you ruin me, Brother Zhou Rang will make you pay." I remained expressionless, ignoring everything she said. The committee members brought computers and kept cross-checking with the exam footage. The atmosphere grew increasingly tense as several teachers glared at Jiangxia with barely contained fury. Jiangxia tried to contact Zhou Rang, but her phone had been confiscated earlier, cutting off all outside communication. Half an hour later, the organizing committee immediately declared Jiangxia's exam results invalid. "On what grounds?" Jiangxia shouted in protest, her flawless makeup slightly contorted with anger. The committee members couldn't care less about her dissatisfaction and continued, "Not only are your results voided, examinee Jiangxia will also be banned from all examinations and competitions organized by any institution for the next 5 years. Furthermore, we've already reported this incident to the police. You'll need to accompany us to the station to explain exactly how you obtained the confidential dance routine that hadn't been publicly released." The moment those words were spoken, the room erupted in uproar. Jiangxia panicked too, her eyes reddening as her voice trembled. "I didn't steal anything. It wasn't me." She turned to me. "I get it now. This is all you're doing." Grabbing my arm desperately, she cried, "It's her. She taught me all these dance moves. Arrest her instead." My eyes welled up. "Junior, you must be confused from panic. This is the first time I've seen you perform this dance. Besides, everyone knows we don't get along. Why would I teach you such a beautiful routine if I knew it?" "You bitch, you knew all along, didn't you?" I let Jiangxia push me down weakly, tears welling up in my eyes. "It's okay if you hate me, Junior. It's all the senior's fault. Please calm down. You're scaring the other students." Jiangxia screamed and lunged forward, only to be restrained by security personnel. Other classmates helped me up and comforted me. I wiped away my tears and glanced at Jiangxia with undisguised contempt. The action sent her into another screaming fit. Terrified, I hid in the crowd watching her lose it. Just like in my past life, Jiangxia always played the victim. The manipulative games she used on me are now coming back to haunt her tenfold. 6. Since Jiangxia insisted I was the one who leaked the dance moves to her, the organizing committee launched an investigation against me, but they found absolutely nothing. For that, we've got Zhou Rang to thank. To protect Jiangxia from any harm, he privately rented practice studios and destroyed all surveillance footage during their dance training, all to prevent me from proving I taught Jiangxia those moves and stealing her spotlight. Little did he know, this actually played right into my hands. After all, there's no possible connection between me and the secret dance project, while Jiangxia and Zhou Rang were notorious troublemakers school-wide. Is there any forbidden place they wouldn't dare to break into? Stealing a dance routine would be child's play for them. Besides, Jiang Xia and Zhou Rang are constantly featured on the forum's front page together with me. The committee could easily find out we'd been at each other's throats, which only proves Jiang Xia's desperate measures, like a cornered rat biting wildly. As for me, I'd been the victim through this entire ordeal. This incident has serious consequences. Jiang Xia got expelled and now faces potential jail time. Xia Dongga, you set me up. Zhou Rang cornered me on the street, the bloodshot eyes betraying how tirelessly he'd been running around for Jiang Xia these days. I chuckled. How could that be? I followed your instructions to the letter. Zhou Rang fumed. I asked you to help Xia win first place. Is this how you assist her? I watched him like a circus monkey. Since when did thieves become picky? You've stolen the grand prize this time. Why aren't you celebrating? Xia Dongga, you'll pay for this. Zhou Rang stormed off in a rage. I took out my phone and made a call. Initiate the plan. After that day, Zhou Rang grew desperate. He began shuttling between high-end business clubs, scrambling to expand his connections. Finally, at a grand banquet, Zhou Rang hooked up with a female tycoon. This businesswoman was a renowned entrepreneur with fortunes beyond counting. Through her, Zhou Rang gained access to high society circles. Rumor has it their latest amusement involves the crowd drinking and chatting while Zhou Rang plays music in the background. Those who fancied could even step up for a hands-on try. Zhou Rang could only force a smile while catering to the sugar mommies and wealthy benefactors. When Zhou Rang felt he'd grown close enough to his patroness, he seized the chance to ask her to clean up Jiang Xia's mess. To his shock, the patroness flew into a rage, calling him an ungrateful wretch who couldn't distinguish master from servant, daring to mention his mistress before his benefactor. Zhou Rang turned pale with fright and hurried to placate her. I laughed so hard my stomach hurt when I heard this. How did I know? Because that wealthy lady is my aunt. Sweetie, how much longer are we keeping up this act? That pretty boy annoys me. His shady intentions are written all over his face. So tiresome. My aunt complained while lounging on the sofa. I lowered my gaze. Indeed, Zhou Rang's thoughts were always written all over his face. Only someone as blind as my past self could have missed it. Almost there. Just hang on a little longer. My aunt sighed and poked my forehead in exasperation. My dad doesn't know about my collaboration with Auntie. My parents fell in love freely, but back then my father had nothing. My grandfather opposed their marriage, so Mom eloped with him. Grandpa was furious and said some harsh words. Stubborn as she was, Mom barely kept in touch with the family afterward. After I was born, Mom's health deteriorated. She reflected on many things and deeply regretted cutting ties with her family. Sadly, she passed away not long after reconciling with Grandpa. Later, Dad and I gradually lost contact with that side of the family. That's why Zhou Rang never knew about my maternal family in our past life. When Zhou Rang mentioned my father had a backup plan after my death, I immediately suspected he'd turned to Grandpa for help. Dad was already hospitalized by then. No matter how resourceful he was, he couldn't have planned that far ahead. The only explanation was Grandpa's intervention. After my rebirth, I visited Grandpa often. The old man would grumble about my visits, yet he'd personally prepare my favorite dishes each time, then insist we share tea and play chess together. Auntie doted on me too. She'd tear up every time she saw me. Later I casually probed Dad about it. He didn't deny it, just encouraged me to spend more time with Grandpa's side of the family. 7. When Zhou Rang saw my aunt wasn't biting, he started scheming other plans. He composed 10 hit songs in a single month, causing a sensation and earning the nickname Hit Machine. Reading the news, I muttered idiot under my breath before making a call. Time to move. 3 days later. At the peak of Zhou Rang's fame, someone claiming to be the original creator released a video. In the video, he detailed his creative journey from conception to completion, presenting timestamps of both handwritten and digital drafts. All evidence pointed to his work being identical to Zhou Rang's newly released piece. A single accuser might have been dismissed, but when over a dozen people simultaneously posted identical allegations, Zhou Rang became the epicenter of controversy. With media outlets swarming to cover the story, Zhou Rang launched emergency PR, tearfully proclaiming, "I knew my talent might breed jealousy, but never imagined this. Each composition is my child. If I plagiarized, I'd turn myself in without waiting for lawsuits." Public opinion became polarized. The video creator then delivered the knockout punch. Being short on money, I couldn't bring myself to replace my old piano. That's why there's a slightly off note in my composition. Any trained ear would spot the dissonance immediately, yet Zhou Rang's score copied even that wrong note verbatim. Just as Zhou Rang attempted to defend himself, One person's appearance shattered him completely. It was a refined, bespectacled man, the same person seen in the video with his cancer-stricken wife. He produced a musical score and declared, "I composed this piece 6 months ago during my darkest hours after my wife's diagnosis. The melody was too emotionally heavy, so I shelved it to avoid spiraling into depression. Yet months later, I heard it being played by none other than my own student." With tears in his eyes, Professor Tong confronted Zhang Rang across the screen. "There's a line in the second movement written using my wife's pet name. If you claim this composition is yours, care to explain that?" Amid the heated arguments, one netizen dropped this bombshell in the comments: "The stylistic shifts in Zhou Rang's released compositions are too drastic. No composer can overhaul their signature style so effortlessly in such short time while producing this volume. Unless we're talking about some musical chameleon, then forget I said anything." The comment initially sank without trace, but after being shared by an industry heavyweight, it skyrocketed to legendary status. Turns out the influencer who reposted it was actually someone familiar. He was the man who questioned Zhou Rang at the competition that day. I later learned he's an internationally renowned piano virtuoso, and the junior disciple of that world-class maestro everyone admires. Having just returned to the country and being quite low-key, he rarely makes public appearances. With endorsements from authorities, people regained their senses. Some bloggers even created audio analysis videos debunking the claims point by point. Zhou Rang got completely owned in the end. Watching everything unfold behind my phone screen, I wasn't the least bit surprised. A text message popped up on my phone: "Boss, mission accomplished." I promptly wired the final payment to the other party. That's right, I did all of this. I had people contact the original composers whose works Zhou Rang plagiarized to verify their creative process. When I reached them, several had fallen into deep self-doubt after hearing Zhou's published tracks. They initially thought it was just coincidental similarities in the opening, but the more they composed, the more they realized their new creations perfectly matched Zhou's stolen works. They despised themselves, believing they were unworthy of being composers, even contemplating ending their lives at one point. Yet the real culprit behind all this continues to profit from their suffering, shamelessly feasting on the fruits of others' misery. The person who surprised me most was Yudo-sensei. I learned he had composed a song when donating to his wife's medical fund. The music score gathering dust on the shelf bled sorrow in every note. Yudo-sensei had written this song when his wife first fell ill. In his previous life, he refused to release such a heartbreaking composition, believing its existence meant his wife was no longer healthy. In the end, the family savings ran dry, forcing teacher Tong to release this song. Yet none of this was known in their past life. That's precisely why Zhou Rang fell into such a deep trap. Plagiarizing a mentor's work is universally condemned across all professions. Crushed by public backlash, Zhou Rang fell from grace overnight. He was utterly finished. 8. The last time I saw Zhou Rang was at a nightclub owned by my grandfather. My aunt was just promising to gift me the club for my birthday when commotion erupted in the opposite room. A disheveled woman burst out, followed by a man clutching his hand. "Zhou Rang, have you no shame? That old man could be my father." Jiang Xia rushed out brandishing a fruit knife, her makeup smeared, collapsing to the ground in tears of utter despair. Meanwhile, Zhou Rang stood drenched in sweat, pressing his bleeding wrist as crimson trickled down. "It seems I'll never be able to play the piano again." I signaled the manager to clear the room and learned the reason behind it. Jiang Xia served a year in prison for what happened back then. After her release, Zhou Rang found her and introduced her to a big shot he used to know. Who would have thought that tycoon was nearly 60? Jiang Xia couldn't stomach it and ended up stabbing Zhou Rang with a fruit knife from the table in a fit of rage. Hearing this, I took a step back. "Xiao Wang, we need to call the police. Our establishment is a legitimate wellness center. This client's indecent behavior is unacceptable and tarnishes our reputation." Only then did Zhou Rang realize I was the owner. When I remained silent, he nervously pursed his lips, face flushed with humiliation, eyes brimming with both defiance and wounded pride. "Without me, Xiadonga, it's all your fault. You did this to me. Why don't you just die? You should have died like you did in your past life." I gripped his chin and with a slight twist, Zhou Rang's jaw dislocated with a sickening pop. Leaning close to his ear, I sneered. "Xiadonga was never some saint. An eye for an eye. That's my creed. Did you really think stealing a few songs could make you famous? Without capital pulling strings behind the scenes, without my permission, you wouldn't even have gotten your face on camera. I built you up just to tear you down. That barely begins to repay what you owe me. Fool, you've been dancing to my tune from the start. First glory, then ruin." Zhou Rang could only glare and roar in impotent rage. I wiped my hands in disgust and ordered them thrown out. Zhou Reng was right about one thing, his rebirth was heaven's mercy on his wretched existence. Had Zhou Reng faced this punishment without his past life memories, he'd still be playing the innocent victim. Perfect. Now he'll carry the weight of 2 lifetimes, drowning in eternal remorse. By the way, his plagiarism case was soon adjudicated with a heavy sentence, enough to keep him fed for life. I successfully joined the Prosperity Dance Company, becoming principal dancer within 2 years and gracing world stages. The world feels so much brighter without scumbags. Arm in arm with my family, we've wandered every corner under the sun.